I never thought my life would come to this. Standing guard in the harsh fluorescent glow of Harper's Retail. My security badge a constant reminder of the weight I carry. I'm Grace, 28. Married to a man who's become a stranger. While I toil away to keep us afloat, my boots heavy with every step on these endless aisles. My days are a blur of monotony, but beneath the surface, a storm of frustration and longing brews, threatening to break free. Home offers no solace, just cold silence and a husband who doesn't see me anymore. But today, something snapped inside me. A forbidden spark ignited in the shadows of a cramped storage room, pulling me toward a line I never imagined crossing. What did I do when temptation stared me in the face, and the rules I lived by started to crumble? Picture this. I'm standing in the dim glow of a flickering street lamp outside Harper's Retail, my security badge glinting faintly as the early morning mist clings to my uniform. My name's Grace. I'm 28, and this is my life. Caught in a grind I never signed up for. I've been married to Mark for 3 years now, a man who's 32 and can turn on the charm when it suits him. But lately, that charm's been buried under layers of laziness thicker than the dust on our living room shelves. While I'm out here, pulling long shifts to keep us afloat, he's sprawled on the couch back home, lost in the endless drama of reality TV marathons. It's a stark contrast, one that stings more with each passing day. I never imagined myself in this role, standing at 5'6", lean but tough from years of high school sports, wearing a uniform that always seems to catch people off guard. They do a double take, like they can't quite believe I'm the one guarding the aisles of a department store. But here I am, the sole breadwinner since Mark lost his job a year ago. He swore it was temporary, that he just needed time to figure things out. I believed him at first, nodded along as I took this gig at Harper's on his insistence. Now, I'm not so sure. My days start at 6 a.m., dragging myself out of bed to whip up breakfast for him, scrambled eggs, toast, the works, while he grumbles a half-hearted thanks, if he even bothers to look up from his screen. Then it's off to the store for a grueling 10-hour shift, my boots heavy on the polished floors, my eyes scanning for shoplifters or troublemakers, all while my mind churns with thoughts I can't shake. Our dynamic wasn't always like this. There was a time when Mark and I felt like a team, when his laughter filled the spaces between us, when a simple touch could set my heart racing. But now, those moments are ghosts. Intimacy? It's a distant memory, replaced by a cold distance that I can't seem to bridge. I'm more provider than partner, hauling in the paycheck while he lounges through the day. When I come home, aching from standing for hours, there's no warmth waiting for me. Just the flicker of the TV and his absent gaze. I've tried talking, tried hinting at how this imbalance eats at me, but it's like shouting into a void. The frustration simmers beneath my skin, a quiet resentment that I swallow down with every forced smile. I keep telling myself it'll get better, that he'll snap out of this funk. But the days stretch into weeks, then months, and I'm left wondering if this is all there is. My routine is a loop of exhaustion. Mornings blur into long shifts at Harper's, where I patrol the crowded aisles, deal with entitled customers, and try to keep my head above water. Stepping through the automatic doors of Harper's Retail each morning feels like entering a different world, one that's both chaotic and mind-numbingly predictable. The store is a sprawling beast, a maze of fluorescent-lit aisles stretching out in every direction. Racks of clothing in every color imaginable line one side, while shelves of electronics, gleaming TVs, laptops, and headphones dominate another. Over in the home goods section, there are towers of cookware and bedding that seem to topple over if you so much as breathe on them. The air always carries a faint whiff of cheap perfume from the cosmetics counter, mixed with the sterile scent of cleaning products. And the noise? It's a constant hum. Shoppers chattering, carts squeaking, and the occasional announcement blaring over the intercom about some flash sale. It's a place that never sleeps, always buzzing with people, from hurried moms dragging kids behind them to teenagers giggling over the latest gadgets. I've been at this for over a year now, decked out in my black security uniform, a walkie-talkie clipped to my belt like it's some kind of lifeline. My boots echo on the polished floors as I patrol the aisles, eyes scanning for anything out of place. I've gotten pretty sharp at spotting shoplifters. Those little tells, like someone lingering too long in one spot or stuffing their hands into oversized pockets. But honestly, most days, this job feels less like protecting anything and more like babysitting grown adults. I'm constantly breaking up petty arguments over who grabbed the last discounted blender or dealing with customers who think I'm their personal complaint box. "Ma'am, I'm just security. I don't set the prices," I'll say, forcing a polite tone while they huff and puff. Then there's the radio calls to my manager, Linda, about the smallest issues. A spilled soda in aisle 6, or a kid running wild near the toy section. It's monotonous, soul-draining work, the kind that makes the hours crawl by while my mind wanders to everything I'd rather be doing. But that day, something shifted. It was around midday, and I was near the electronics section, where the pricier stuff is kept under lock and key. Or at least, it's supposed to be. The crowd was thinner than usual for a lunch hour, just a few stragglers browsing the displays. That's when I noticed them. Two guys, probably in their mid-20s, dressed in baggy hoodies and jeans that looked like they'd seen better days. They were hovering near a rack of high-end headphones, the kind that cost more than my weekly paycheck. One of them, the taller one with a scruffy jawline, kept glancing around like he was expecting someone to jump out at him. The other, shorter with a buzz cut, was pretending to read the product tags, but his hands were twitchy. I didn't know their names then. Later I'd think of them as Jake and Tyler. But in that moment, they were just two suspicious figures I couldn't ignore. My instincts kicked in, sharp and insistent, as I adjusted my walkie-talkie and started toward them. I'd seen that kind of behavior before. Too casual, too calculated. I wasn't about to let a couple of potential thieves slip through my fingers, not on my watch. So I approached, keeping my voice steady and professional, and told them I needed to speak with them in private. Their smirks didn't fade, but they followed me without a fuss, which only made the knot in my stomach tighten. I led them through the maze of aisles, past curious shoppers who barely glanced our way, until we reached the back of the store. That's where the storage room waited, a place I'd been in 100 times before, but never under circumstances like this. As I pushed open the heavy door, the familiar dimness of the storage room swallowed us whole. It's a cramped, claustrophobic space, barely big enough for the three of us to stand without brushing shoulders. Shelves tower on every side, packed tight with overstock items. Boxes of unsold toys, stacks of folded shirts, and random kitchen gadgets still in their plastic wrap. The air carries a faint, musty smell of cardboard and dust, the kind that clings to the back of your throat. Overhead, a single bulb flickers erratically, casting jittery shadows across the concrete floor and making the whole place feel like it's holding its breath. I can hear the muffled hum of the store beyond the walls, but in here, it's just us, cut off from everything else. I turn the lock on the door with a click, following protocol to ensure privacy during a search. But as the sound echoes in the small space, a wave of unease washes over me. I'm in charge here, I remind myself. But those smirks on their faces, Jake's sly, knowing grin and Tyler's quieter, almost mocking one, make my authority feel like it's slipping through my fingers. I clear my throat, trying to keep my composure, and start with the standard procedure. "All right, I need to check for stolen items. Empty your pockets, both of you." My voice comes out firmer than I feel, and I stand with my arms crossed, watching them closely. They exchange a quick glance, like they're sharing some private joke, before complying with exaggerated slowness. Jake, the taller one with the scruffy jaw, pulls out a handful of loose change, letting the coins clink onto a nearby shelf. Tyler, the shorter guy with the buzz cut, digs into his jeans and produces a crumpled pack of gum, tossing it down with a shrug. That's it. Nothing incriminating, nothing hidden. But I'm not convinced. I saw the way they were acting out there. The subtle movements near their waistbands. The way they shifted when I got close. Something's off, and I'm not about to let it slide. I take a deep breath, steadying myself against the flicker of doubt in my mind, and say, "I'm going to need you to lift your shirts and show me your waistbands. I saw you hiding something." The words feel heavy as they leave my mouth, and for a split second, I wonder if I've overstepped. But I've done this before. Routine checks are part of the job. Still, there's a hesitation in the air, a pause that stretches too long. Jake's smirk widens, and he lets out a low chuckle, like he's been waiting for this. "Sure thing, officer," he drawls, his tone dripping with something I can't quite place. He shrugs casually and lifts his hoodie, revealing what's underneath. Tyler follows suit, pulling up his own shirt with a little less flair but the same air of confidence. I brace myself, expecting to see a tucked-away pair of headphones or some other stolen gear. But what I see instead stops me cold. It's not merchandise. It's not anything I could have prepared for. Their physiques are unreal, chiseled, defined in a way that seems almost impossible, like they've stepped out of some fitness magazine I've never dared to flip through. Muscles carved with a precision that catches the dim light in ways that make my breath hitch. I'm standing there, frozen, my mind a chaotic mess as I try to process what I'm seeing. This isn't what I expected, not by a long shot. My job, my training, everything I've drilled into myself about staying professional. It all feels like it's slipping away in this tiny, suffocating storage room. The air feels thicker now, heavier, like it's pressing down on me from all sides. The flickering bulb overhead seems to pulse in time with my racing heartbeat, casting shadows that dance across their confident expressions. I can feel the heat radiating in the cramped space. Or maybe it's just me. My skin prickling with a mix of confusion and something I don't want to name. Inside, I'm screaming at myself to snap out of it. Call Linda on the radio, Grace. Stick to protocol. Step back, get a grip, do what you're supposed to do. But my body isn't listening. It's like there's a traitor inside me, a part of me that's been buried under months of frustration and neglect, clawing its way to the surface. I can feel it. A pull. A longing I haven't let myself acknowledge in so long, stirring in the pit of my stomach. My hands, usually steady when I'm patting down a suspect or securing a scene, are betraying me with the slightest tremble. I clench them into fists at my sides, hoping they don't notice, but the way Jake's eyes linger on me, sharp and knowing, tells me I'm not hiding anything. Tyler breaks the silence with a soft chuckle, his voice low and almost teasing as he leans against a shelf, casual as if we're just chatting over coffee. "We're not the only ones caught here, are we?" His words hit me like a sucker punch, slicing through the haze in my mind and laying bare every vulnerable thought I've been trying to suppress. Caught. That's exactly how I feel. Trapped between what I should do and what I'm feeling, between the rules I've lived by and this reckless, dangerous impulse that's growing louder by the second. I open my mouth to respond, to shut this down, but nothing comes out at first. My throat feels tight, my words stuck somewhere between panic and something far more complicated. I force myself to speak, to regain some semblance of control. "This isn't appropriate," I stammer, my voice thinner than I'd like, lacking the authority I usually carry. I need to finish the check." But even as I say it, I can hear the doubt woven into every syllable. It's not convincing, not even to me. Jake steps closer, closing the already tiny gap between us, and I can feel the warmth of him, the scent of something earthy and raw cutting through the musty air of the room. His hand brushes against my arm, just a fleeting touch, but it sends a jolt through me that I can't ignore. "We won't tell if you don't," he whispers, his voice a low murmur that seems to echo in the confined space, wrapping around me like a challenge I'm not sure I can resist. My mind flashes to Mark for a split second, unbidden and bitter. I see him as I've seen him too many times lately, sprawled on the couch, eyes glued to the TV, not even glancing my way when I walk through the door after a long shift. His indifference, the way he stopped seeing me, stopped caring. It stings in a way I can't shake. And that sting turns into something hotter, something angrier, fueling a recklessness I didn't know I had in me. Why should I keep playing by the rules when I've been invisible at home for so long? Why should I keep denying myself when no one else seems to care? The thoughts are fleeting but powerful, pushing against the last of my resolve like a tidal wave. The air in the storage room feels electric now, charged with a tension I can't escape. I look up, meeting their eyes, Jake's intense gaze, Tyler's quieter but no less piercing stare, and I see something there I haven't felt in ages. Desire. And in that moment, I feel the last thread of my restraint snap like a brittle twig underfoot. I'm standing there, my breath uneven, my chest tight with a storm of emotions I can't name, as Jake's gaze holds mine with an intensity that feels like it could burn right through me. I take a step closer, almost without thinking, my boots scuffing softly against the concrete floor of this cramped storage room. The space feels smaller now, the towering shelves and cluttered boxes fading into a hazy blur as the world narrows to just the three of us. My heart is pounding so hard, I'm sure they can hear it. A frantic rhythm that drowns out the distant hum of the store beyond these walls. Jake doesn't hesitate. He reaches out, his hand finding my waist with a gentle but firm pull that sends a shiver racing down my spine. I don't pull away. I can't. Not when Tyler steps in too, his presence quieter but just as commanding, closing the circle around me with a warmth that feels both dangerous and intoxicating. The air is thick with the scent of dust and cardboard, but beneath it, there's something else, something raw and human, the heat of their nearness wrapping around me like a forbidden embrace. My skin prickles as their touch lingers, not invasive, but deliberate, a silent question. I'm too far gone to refuse. I can feel the roughness of Jake's fingertips through the fabric of my uniform, the subtle strength in Tyler's hand as it brushes against my arm, grounding me and unraveling me all at once. Our breaths mingle in the tight space, hurried and shallow, a chorus of unspoken need that fills the silence. The flickering bulb overhead casts erratic shadows, making every movement feel like a stolen moment in a dream I shouldn't be having. But I am. I'm here, losing myself in the rush of it all, the cluttered storage room becoming nothing more than a backdrop to this wildfire of sensation. I'm aware of every detail, every heightened sense, the way my pulse races under their gaze, the way the heat of their closeness seeps into me, melting away the cold loneliness I've carried for so long. It's a sensory overload, a tidal wave of feeling that crashes over me and sweeps away the last of my defenses. There's a part of me, buried deep, that screams about Mark, about the vows I made, about the life I'm supposed to be living. But that voice is drowned out by the roar of something primal, something I've suppressed for years under the weight of frustration and neglect. The guilt is there, sharp and bitter, slicing through the haze of exhilaration, but it's not enough to stop me. Not now. Not when I've felt invisible for so long, when every day has been a battle to keep going while Mark sits there, oblivious to the ache I've been hiding. This moment, this reckless surrender, feels like a rebellion against all of that. A desperate grasp at something that makes me feel alive again. I'm caught in the thrill of being wanted, of breaking every rule I've clung to like a lifeline. It's a rush unlike anything I've known, a heady mix of danger and desire that makes my blood sing. Time seems to slow, stretching thin as I let myself fall into this forbidden dance, every touch and whispered breath a step further across a line I never thought I'd cross. We're careful, though, even in this haze. Our voices low, our movements cautious, aware of the risk that hangs over us like a storm cloud. The store is just beyond these walls, full of people who could hear a stray sound, who could come looking if we're not careful. But that danger, that ever-present threat of being caught, only sharpens the edge of this moment. It fuels the fire, makes every stolen second feel more intense, more vital, as if the world could collapse around us and I wouldn't care. I don't know how long we're there, tangled in this silent storm of longing and defiance. It could be minutes or hours. Time has lost all meaning in the dim flicker of this hidden space. But eventually, something shifts inside me. A cold wave of reality creeps in, seeping through the cracks of my resolve as I stand there, the heat of the moment fading into a chilling clarity. My breath is still uneven, my heart still racing, but the weight of what I've just done crashes over me like a tidal wave. I step back, my boots scraping against the concrete floor, the sound jarring in the sudden stillness of the storage room. I can't look at Jake or Tyler, not directly. My hands move almost on their own, smoothing down my uniform as if straightening the fabric could somehow straighten out the mess I've made of myself. My fingers tremble, though, betraying the calm I'm trying to project. I force my voice to steady, though it comes out quieter than I mean it to. You're free to go. Just don't come back here. I mutter the words, my eyes fixed on a random box on the shelf, anywhere but their faces. I hear the faint rustle of them gathering their things, the soft clink of Jake's coins as he pockets them again. There's a smirk in the air. I don't need to see it to feel it, that knowing edge in their silence. Without a word, they slip past me, the door creaking open and then shutting with a dull thud that echoes in the cramped space. And just like that, I'm alone. The storage room feels suffocating now. The musty smell of cardboard and dust thicker than before, pressing against me as if it's trying to smother the whirlwind in my chest. I stand there for what feels like forever, staring at the spot where they stood, the flickering bulb overhead, casting jagged shadows that seem to mock me. My betrayal, there's no other word for it, sinks into my bones, heavy and cold. I've crossed a line I can't uncross, shattered something I didn't even realize I was holding on to until it was gone. My vows, my promises to Mark, they feel like shards of glass under my skin, cutting deeper with every breath. I press my hands against the edge of a shelf, gripping the metal until my knuckles pale, trying to anchor myself against the storm of guilt and confusion raging inside me. But there's no anchor strong enough for this. Eventually, I force myself to move. I can't stay here, not in this space that now feels like a crime scene of my own making. I unlock the door, the click sounding louder than it should, and step back into the fluorescent glare of Harper's Retail. The hum of the store hits me all at once. Shoppers chatting, carts rolling, the intercom crackling with some mundane announcement. It's as if nothing has changed out here, as if the world kept spinning while mine tilted off its axis. I pull my shoulders back, adjust my badge, and try to slip into the role of Grace the security guard again, the one who's got it all under control. But it's a flimsy mask. Every time I pass the storage room door during the rest of my shift, my hands shake, just a little. I can't help but glance at it, half expecting to see Jake or Tyler lurking there, or worse, to see my own shame reflected back at me in the scuffed metal. My stomach twists each time, a nauseating mix of dread and something I'm too ashamed to name, a lingering spark of the fire that burned through me earlier. The hours drag on, each minute heavier than the last, until finally, my shift ends. I clock out with a nod to Linda, avoiding her eyes as if she could somehow see right through me. The drive home is a blur, the streetlights streaking past like judgmental eyes in the dusk. My grip on the steering wheel is tight, my mind replaying every moment in that storage room, every choice I made, every boundary I obliterated. By the time I pull into our driveway, my chest feels like it's caving in under the weight of it all. I sit there for a moment, the engine off, just breathing, trying to piece myself together before I face Mark. But there's no putting this back together, not really. I step through the front door, the familiar creak of the hinges sounding like an accusation. The living room is dim, lit only by the flickering. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.